Greetings, everybody. This is Izzy here, coming to you with my review for the 2020 sports drama, The Way Back, starring Ben Affleck. As you can see here, I am bringing you this review from my Cinema Dojo or film library, whichever you're comfortable with. I prefer Cinema Dojo, but hey, if you want to call it film library, by all means, do what makes you feel comfortable. Before I get into the details of this review, it's most likely going to be a short one because it's not necessarily a film that is going to, I guess, rely on such deep, detailed exposition. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the details of this review for like thereof. The film The Way Back stars Ben Affleck, and he is playing a struggling former basketball player who had a full ride scholarship to university of his choosing and chose to back out because this game of basketball wasn't necessarily bringing him the happiness that he was yearning for. Throughout the course of his life, actually, he starts experiencing certain setbacks, and one of them is quite tragic, actually. And we begin to see the struggles that he is experiencing through the constant use of drinking alcohol, working, drinking alcohol, working, drinking alcohol, and he is living a very lonesome, down and out life, just literally living at the bottom of the barrel, until he is called to coach a basketball team that has not made the playoffs since he was a player there himself, his former alma mater. Excuse me. Jeez, sorry, it's been a long day. With that said, the film is a sports drama, but at the same time, it's not. It's not necessarily a sports drama or a sports comedy, if you will, in the vein of, say, the Mighty Ducks, Hoosiers, The Program, Varsity Blues, The Gridiron Gang, Miracle, Invincible, Remember the Titans. They are all remarkable films in and of themselves, but they rely on a certain formula that have made them very inspirational and triumphant in their presentation. Whereas The Way Back, it is a sports drama, but it's more of a character exposition of a man who is struggling to find his way back, if you will, no pun intended, to being a man or being a man that he had originally aspired to be. You could tell that Ben Affleck chose this project to more or less find a way to exercise his demons, because most people who are not aware of what was going on with Ben Affleck, at the time, he was receiving a lot of flack for Batman vs Superman underperforming, and then he was going through a divorce, and he was relapsing, and then his film Live by Night didn't perform well at the box office. So he was going through, obviously, when you're a millionaire, their problems are a lot different than ours, but at the same time, he was going through a lot of trying times for his predicament, if you will. And it affected his personal life, it affected his health. So you could tell he actually used this film in the script to more or less throw himself into the role as Jack Cunningham, the former basketball player who turned coach. And this film also differs from your usual sports drama, is that it's not so much about how the players, because before you have the young actors who are playing the athletes, they all have different personalities of themselves, and you feel you start connected with each and every one of them. Whereas in this one, it's not so much focusing on you're primarily focusing on one athlete, but it's more focusing on Jack Cunningham. And Ben Affleck literally throws himself in this role. As I said, you could literally tell that he channeled every single bit of angst, anger, rage, sadness, and struggle, and channeled it into this character that what I found remarkable about his performance and the way he carried himself and his demeanor was how he literally looked like a coach. He looked like a basketball coach, someone that I can remember seeing at school when I attended high school. He didn't look like someone who had the chiseled good looks. He didn't look like someone who you could tell he was very popular amongst the students at the time. He looked very boozy. He looked down and out. He looked the role, and he played the role to absolutely perfection. Like, as I said, he more or less used this as a channel for him to exercise whatever he was going through at that particular moment of his life, and it's just remarkable how he performed the role. Now, you have the beginning and the middle of the film where it is focusing on him turning the team around, but then once it ventures into the third act, that's when it's very different compared to your other ones, simply because of the fact that it's going that much deeper into the character of Jack Cunningham. It is very much a dark, dreary character exposition of people, of someone who who you could possibly know in your life, and someone, and maybe you could possibly relate to his struggles. You feel, you at the same time you feel very sorry for him, actually, because you want to see him come out of his struggle, but at the same time you just know that he has been in this hole for so long that you simply cannot, it's not something that a person can just jump right out of immediately. And that is, I believe, the message of the film, that everybody at some point or another goes through a struggle, and how we react to that struggle is what ultimately makes us, or shapes our very foundation of being a better human being. But as far as The Way Back is concerned, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for it being such a different sports drama. It's very depressing. I will say that it is very depressing. And where, like I mentioned before, other sports drama has very formulaic, predictable, generic storylines where you already know what's going to happen. Whereas this one is not so much focusing on the sport. It's not so much focusing on the underdogs overcoming the seemingly impossible odds. It is about Jack Cunningham finding himself, making peace with his predicament, while also healing the wounds of everybody else around him, his friends and his family. It is a very dark, tragic tale. I mean, once you find out why he has isolated himself, and not only isolated himself, but started to really dive that much deeper into alcoholism, it was very sad. It's a very sad story, and I almost feel like that you could almost basically primarily base it on some sort of real life story that happened, not necessarily to Ben Affleck, but just anybody else who wrote the script. And it's a great movie. It's a great film. I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. Do not go in expecting to see a lot of sports action, because you're not going to get it. Is, as I said, it's not so much focusing on the athletic ability of the students or the sport of basketball. It is a character exposition of a man who has attempted to find his way back. It is. I enjoyed it. I do recommend it. I do give it a 5 out of 5. This type of film I don't believe will necessarily do great at the box office, just because of the type of storyline that it is. And it's not something that's flashy, action-packed. It is just opening the wounds of a character and us watching him decline and possibly rise up to the occasion of being a better human being. So through it all, I do give The Way Back a 5 out of 5, a 2 thumbs up. I do recommend it. I hope that you guys do get a chance to watch it this weekend or whenever. Bring your friend. I mean, it's not for kids, so do not bring your kids to watch this one. It's a lot of language, and there's a lot of cathartic humor as well. I forgot to mention that in the middle of this review. A lot of the dialogue that Ben Affleck is utilizing is filled with. I often wonder how he was able to keep a straight face just because of the dialogue that he had to recite, and it was just a lot of his insults and his reactions to the players and to people around him just made it. I found myself almost kind of seeing a little bit of myself in him, not so much with the alcohol, but I found myself just looking at him and saying, "Man, I would say the same thing in that situation if I were in his shoes." So, but that's another story for another day, another time. So, The Way Back, 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up. I hope you guys get a chance to see it. Let me know in the comment section what you thought about it. Let me know on my Facebook what you thought about it. I'm not exactly sure what my next review will be. Maybe I'll check out Onward probably Sunday or Monday night. But I do know for sure that my next review will be The Quiet Place 2 on March 20th, so be on the lookout for that. And continue to check out my Facebook for my reviews that I type up. And I will see you all again, my friends. Take care and peace out.